Disrupt, a technology company that's also very passionate about capital preservation, although the capital is suffering right now, but knowing the preservation of that capital for the future is something important here. So Anthony Delgado.
Thank you. So what's up, BION New York? How you guys doing? So my name is Anthony Delgado, and I've been a software developer and serial entrepreneur for the last 10 years. I was writing code literally in like second grade. My mother was a computer programmer in the 80s. So before cryptocurrency, I saw people creating currency digitally, right? I've seen this whole industry evolve. And I've seen it almost come to its knees this past year, right? It's been a rough year for sure. If we look at December last year, it's 2017 to 18, it's been rough. And I think what's happened over the past 12 months is that people forgot the most important thing when building a business. And this is regardless of whether you're a cryptocurrency, whether you have an app, you have a website, you have a freaking pizza shop or a hot dog stand. You need to provide value, right? And what I think has happened with the evolution is that you have a lot of cryptocurrency companies that came in, right? And they came in and they were technology first, right? So rather than presenting themselves as, hey, there's a problem in the market, I think I can solve it and provide the most value by solving that problem, they approach the problem like, hey, I think cryptocurrency is awesome, now what problem can I try to solve with this technology? So I think if we're going to have longevity in this industry moving forward, we need to be solution oriented and not have a hammer and just try to find nails with that hammer, right? So yeah, so we've had an evolution of cryptocurrencies over the last 24 months. I think over 1,000 currencies are now extinct, so 1,000 different companies, and that number's probably raised, don't exist anymore. But if I look at the market, you have currencies that were digital currencies way before Bitcoin, right? Xbox had points, PlayStation had points. So this Amazon has gift cards. It really actually even goes back before the internet. Companies had gift cards, right? So digital currency and having currencies that are not tied to fiat is not a new concept at all. So what I think these companies really need to do moving forward is figure out how do we provide value digitally. Why is there an exchange and why is there a need for an additional currency before we go across it? And I think it actually goes back to going back to basics, right? If you look at the market, I want to be conscious, right? I don't want to throw stones at glass houses. But if we look at the market and look at what has happened, we had a lot of companies who came in, and again, they were focused on the technology and not focused on the solution, right? So I write HTML, I write React, I write JavaScript, I write Python, I write programs in Node, right? But when I'm trying to start a company, I don't say, hey, I know Python, what company could I build with Python? I say, hey, I want to build a company to solve this problem. Now, what is the best technology suited to solve that problem? Right? And I think that the companies need to focus on creating businesses that would work in the real world, regardless of cryptocurrency, and have cryptocurrency be a tool to deliver that value. So let's look at, I guess, where the market has been and where it's going, right? So we have Bitcoin, which is like the triple OG, and then we have Ethereum, and then we have 1 million coins that got forked from Ethereum. We have we have a few coins or a handful of coins that were forked from Bitcoin, Litecoin, and the like. And one of the problems that I see, and again, this is me looking at it as a technologist, not as a cryptocurrency enthusiast, is that it's been very hard to update these coins. So the same problem that we see, or rather the same value proposition that, hey, it's decentralized and it's on everyone's computer and no one can take it down, has also become its downfall, whereas when it's time to roll out a software update, it's been increasingly hard to do so, right? So that was the drama that we saw with Bitcoin Cash, right? Half the people thought, hey, Bitcoin needs an update. Half the people didn't agree. Half the people went their own separate way. And now in order to do a software update, you forked an entire currency. And it's the same thing with Ethereum, right? When Ethereum was first created, it was an awesome revolutionary idea. But now seeing how the market has used that technology, we have ideas that came up and problems that came up, and we could not have foreseen the best version of Ethereum. So now you have new coins that are coming out and new technologies that are coming out to address that, like Elixir. Right? Elixir came out and said, hey, you want to really build decentralized apps? You want to really create this ecosystem where apps can just live in any technology and they're not tied to any central computing system? Well, here's what Ethereum did wrong, here's what they did right. We're going to take what they did right and we're going to come out with a new project. And that's why I'm really, really passionate about the Elixir project, because built inside of it is automatic updates. And it solves a lot of the problems that we had with these previous technologies. But again, I think it comes back to solving the problem first, right? So I don't know, by show of hands, who here has a cryptocurrency startup or something that they're working on, something that's in the pipeline? Anybody? 2, 3? Okay, cool. A couple people.
This is end of 2018, not 2017.
Yeah, it's not the whole world, right? So to those of you who are working on consistent projects, I beg you to go to the drawing board and figure out how to create an actual business. Do a lean business canvas and get out of the crypto bubble for a minute and solve your problem the best way. And hey, you might do a whole business plan and realize, hey, you know what, cryptocurrency, it shouldn't be in the V1 of this roadmap. That should be in the V3, and in the V1, maybe we have a digital currency exchange that's not built on cryptography, that's not built on blockchain, right? But I think, again, going back to the drawing board, figuring out who's your customer demographic, what is your value proposition, who are the other people in the market that are solving this problem with or without cryptocurrency, right? And then figuring out how can you actually differentiate yourself from all these other companies that are out here, all the other apps that are in the App Store, right? If you look at the top 10 apps in the App Store, none of them are using cryptocurrency right now. You have Snapchat, you have Instagram, you have Amazon. Amazon is probably the closest competitor that's using a digital currency. It's like their Amazon coin or token, which they've had way before blockchain, right? So again, looking at the basics of business. What are your channels? How are you marketing your project? And not marketing your ICO to sell more coins. No, how are you marketing your project to existing customers so they can interact with your applications? So yeah, that is my rant on creating value and doing that with or without cryptocurrency. And yeah, totally open to any questions. You in the back. So I love cryptocurrency. I love blockchain. I was big even like early 2000s, early 90s. I was big on looking at the problems of our existing fiat currencies, right? So when Bitcoin came out, I loved it. And I think the ability to move money globally is huge, and it's not going anywhere, right? Like blockchain is the right solution. But if you look at what happened in the early 90s and the early 2000s, the internet was the right solution, but AOL and Yahoo and Excite and Ask Jeeves, those companies aren't here anymore, right? So it's not whether or not blockchain is a thing. Blockchain is super, super, super powerful, right? If you go to your bank right now, let's say you have $5 million in the bank. If you go to the bank right now, try to take out $100,000. It's gonna be really, really hard for you to take out even $100,000 of your own money, right? You go to an ATM, the max is 500, maybe 1,000, right? Even if I wanted to wire transfer for you money, it's
You might be blocked.
yeah, you're gonna get blocked. So I actually have, this is a real story, literally got off the phone with the guy today. He has a cannabis company in Puerto Rico, and he's doing business with another cannabis provider in Colombia, but it's all legit. Like marijuana is medically legal in Puerto Rico. It's also medicinal in Colorado, where he's from, right? So he has this company. He's sending a $100,000 wire transfer to Colombia to do a business transaction. The Banco Popular Bank froze his $100,000, right? So he transferred the money from his main account into the Banco Popular account, and then he wanted to transfer it to Colombia. They froze it. They said, no, this is an illegal transaction. The name cannabis is in the name of your business. But yeah, I'm a legitimate cannabis company. Shows in the paperwork, etc. Says, all right, you don't want to do the transfer? No problem. Send it back to my bank where I just sent it into. No, you're not going to do. We're not going to let you do that. You're just going to go and then send it another way. Yeah, I am. It's my money. What the hell is your problem? So he had to actually get the government and all sorts of people, bureaucrats involved to release his own money. So I think the power that with Bitcoin, you send a button, it gets sent, there's no freezing your account, political dissidents, right? Look at what's happening with Patreon. Have any of you guys followed this? So Patreon is a service that allows creators who create political speech and entertainment and all sorts of free speech to monetize. And I can say, hey, if you like the content I put out on YouTube and Instagram and social media, send me $5 a month, send me $10 a month. And there are people who have their whole businesses built on this, who have staff and people with families, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars and even millions of dollars from Patreon. So Patreon recently started looking at people, and based on their political views, started freezing their accounts with no due process. I believe in America. I believe that we should go through a due process. If you're going to freeze my account, you better prove that I did something wrong, right? But that's not what's happening. This financial institution known as Patreon went and froze tons of people's accounts, right? So if you came to me and you're like, I'm going to make a Bitcoin, a blockchain solution that solves the Patreon problem, that's completely decentralized, and even if I wanted to flip the switch on it, I couldn't, because we built this app that is completely peer-to-peer, and it's completely decentralized, it's going to solve that Patreon problem, I would give you a high five, and I would probably want to be an advisor on your team to help you bring that to life, right? Because you identified the problem first, and then you said, okay, let me solve that problem using technology. But to circle back and answer your question, there are a lot of laws in the United States that do prevent these things. The regulations are ramping up, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get into the technology. Especially like as a developer, it's a great time to get into cryptocurrency. All of the banks are trying to figure this out. They pressured the regulators to try to pump the brakes on this stuff so that they could catch up, right? So if you were going to learn cryptocurrency, learn that technology, I think it's a great time to get involved for sure.
So speaking about banks, previously if you walked into a bank and had like $3,000 or $5,000, they'd ask you for ID. So they'd want to know that, okay, you're depositing a certain amount of cash, we want to have an ID on you, which is okay. But now if you walk into certain banks and it's only exploding, they actually have a little counter, a digital counter, where you have to scan your ID, your driver's license, if you're making the grand total of $20 deposit into your account. They want to track your $20. So if somebody wants to go in and put $20 into your bank account, they want to know who put that money in there, which is going way beyond what those regulations were set for. So that's why there's all these needs for changes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think really, like, look at another case of being deplatformed, Alex Jones, right? Now, politics aside, I don't agree with everything Alex Jones has said, but I believe in free speech. So the fact that you have Twitter, Facebook, Apple, and Google unanimously decide that this person's free speech is going to be violated, we're going to throw him off of every platform on the internet, and we're going to completely make it impossible for him to run his business without a fair trial, I think is the exact reason why we need not only decentralized currencies, but also decentralized applications.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony.